Today, let's review the movie called The Lovely Bones. Please like, share, and subscribe. The movie starts off with George Tukey playing Stanley Harvey. You see him lounging around in a shopping mall near kids and another man.
It wasn't Mr. O'Dwyer, by the way. Although, he does look kind of suspicious.
The movie dwells on the story of a young lady who was murdered. Michael Imperioli plays the lead detective investigating the case. One case of many, where young girls were abducted from shopping malls and other locations by a sick, twisted pedophile. The movie's plot is based in 1973. A 14-year-old high school freshman, Susie Salmon, dreams of becoming a photographer. One day, Ray, a boy she has a crush on, asks her out. As Susie walks home through a cornfield, she runs into the neighbor. This, of course, is every parent's worst nightmare, a familiar face with your young underage child, coercing them into a horror that you can only imagine. Steven Jackson's directing immerses you into the cold feeling of what these children must feel like when confronted with these monsters. The movie depicts a scene where the neighbor, Steve Harvey, has an eerie way of reminiscing about his deeds. This movie, directed by Peter Jackson, cleverly takes you between the spiritual world and the real world. The young lady's actually narrating the movie from a spiritual realm where her spirit just can't move on because due to the violent nature of her murder at the hands of the neighbor. She's crossed between revenge and moving on to the light. Saoirse Ronan, who plays Susie Salmon in the movie, the main character and narrator, does a superb job of showing you how her spirit is struggling between moving on with other murdered girls or sticking around until she sees vengeance exacted on not just her, but their killer. The movie then switches back to Mark Wahlberg and Rachel Weisz, who plays Susie's parents, trying to move on. This movie then shows you Susie's spirit reminiscing about what her life could have been like. But then the movie shows you Steve Harvey, the neighbor, and how he disposes of his bad deeds. He's also now searching for Susie's sister, Lindsay, who he suspects is onto him. The scene then switches to Susie and one of his other victims walking through a spiritual world discussing what's happened to them. You then see a horrible looking chest, which Susie doesn't know at this point contains her body. Meanwhile, back at the Salmon house, Susie's dad, played by Mark Wahlberg, is grieving. However, his wife, Susan's mother Abigail, however, is not so optimistic that her murderer will be found. She begs her husband to stop looking and move on. But he can't give up on his baby girl. And after giving up on the police's investigation, he goes out frantically searching for her. As a father, I understand his grief. We feel like we're here to protect our daughters, and he feels like he's failed her. One compelling moment in the film is when he confronts his neighbor. The father begins to have suspicions after holding a rose, and it almost seems as if his daughter calls to him from heaven to let him know. This movie cleverly involves you in the grief of the grieving family and the grief of the spirit of the young girl. This movie cleverly depicts how we as humans must love one another while we're here, as no one's promised tomorrow. In the movie, you see a father slowly deteriorating to the point where he follows the pedophile Harvey out to his field, thinking that he caught him. He actually catches up to a couple and gets beat up by the boyfriend. The movie then moves to Harvey, who's trying to get rid of the chest that contains Susie's remains in a field. However, the movie seems to give her a choice of either stopping him from disposing of her body or getting one final kiss from her boyfriend, with whom she misses not being able to share her life with. And in a heartbreaking scene, Steve Harvey pushes her body over into the landfill after paying a worker, thus ensuring that her body would never be found. Later, you see Harvey, the monster that he is, contemplating his next move. However, God and a little thing called karma have a different plan for Mr. Harvey. as he'll see.
And you will understand.
In this scene, Harvey has already gotten away with Susie's murder years ago. However, in a new town, after trying to lure a new lady who just simply walked away, this happens, making the statement that you can do wrong, but eventually karma will catch up to you. Even more true and so fitting for him. Back at the Salmon house, Susie's mom feels her spiritual presence in the room.
Susie's in the in-between.
In the end, you see Susie's spirit enjoying purgatory and in between earth and heaven.
These were the lovely bones that had grown around my absence, that let me hold the world without me in it.
The movie cleverly makes you think of what happens in the afterlife. Are spirits just ascending to nowhere? Do they linger around waiting for us? Or do they just flicker out? In my opinion, Peter Jackson superbly gave you a sense of love, grief, hatred, anger, evil, and redemption. In the end, are our loved ones' spirits left over when they die? Are they left in limbo? I don't know, but what I do know is, maybe as human beings, we can learn to live with this uncertainty and spread the love that our loved ones shared with us with others.
I was here for a moment, and then I was gone. I wish you all a long and happy life.
Please like, share, and subscribe to Where in the World is Frank and Gina? This completes the review of the movie The Lovely Bones. Please check it out. While not rated for children, I think the story most definitely needs to be explained to children. God bless and stay safe.